Welcome back. Now, courts are seen as the last line of defense of democracy, and judges sometimes have to make unpopular decisions. This has seen judges and the judiciary come under fire and under criticism. So let's discuss how this impacts the ability, of course, of judges to do their work. Alison Tilly joins us now from Judges Matter. Alison, good morning to you, and thank you so much for your time. We've seen a lot of criticism, against judges. Judge President Mandisa Maya being one of them. We'll get to that in just a moment. But a whole lot of public criticism as to the efficiency of our courts. But is this criticism warranted? Is there more to the criticism, or is there more to it behind the scenes that judges and courts go through that perhaps the public is not aware of?
There are a lot of concerns around the state of the courts and the systems which the judges and magistrates rely on to make their decisions happen. And they range from things like court infrastructure to the number of staff. There's backlogs in terms of cases. There's difficulty with accessing things like Wi-Fi. So there are many challenges, and they're at the level of courts, both high courts and magistrates courts, and across the whole of the country.
Well, when we talk about this particular case pertaining to the former president, a lot of people have been almost fatigued because of the constant delays and postponements. I saw a statement by the eNCA recently defending Judge President Mandisa Maya, saying the delays are due to administrative challenges, not that the Judge President does not want to expedite this particular case and see justice, of course, served in this particular case, I have to say. But I mean, what could be some of those administrative challenges that the courts deal with on a regular basis?
Well, I think one of the most important challenges, and forgive me, this is going to sound really a bit nerdy and getting into the weeds, but one of the problems is that the way the courts are managed, there are actually three different departments that manage the courts. It's the Department of Justice and the Department of Public Works and the Office of the Chief Justice. And in any situation where you're in a court, you're having to figure out who is responsible for making sure which part of the court works. Now, I'm sure if you've ever tried to report to three bosses, you'll know that it's really a very difficult job. And it's also very difficult holding those departments accountable because, of course, for each one of them, they always can point to the other two. And I think, not that I'm suggesting there's bad faith in any way. I think the departments are trying to show up and do what they can. But there really is an underlying question about the governance in the judiciary and governance of the courts and the court systems that needs to be addressed, because I think we can see that the system is straining, it's under strain, and in some places it is breaking down.
Alison, does the public still trust our courts and our justice system in the country? And I'll tell you why I asked this. When the march took place, there was a recent GBV march. This was caused at the back of the late Namhlan Ntwa's killing. We saw various political parties and civil organizations gathering together to march in protest against gender-based violence. King Dalindyebo Buyelekhaya was part of those who addressed the crowds, and he was heard saying that if the perpetrator is not found, if he's not brought to book, they will burn his house. Now, that to me sounds like, someone saying that if the court and the justice system doesn't do their work, we'll take matters into our own hands. We've heard that before, not just from the kid, but from various, communities saying they are fed up with crime. Does that inspire confidence in our courts?
No, and it's a serious problem. I think one of the difficulties with the criminal justice system in particular is that, again, made up of many different moving parts. And if just one of them doesn't show up and do what it needs to do, then the system falls apart. And then you have long backlogs, people coming to court and finding cases are postponed. And that can lead people, and rightly so, to question whether matters are being dealt with speedily. So there's, without question, there is a problem in relation to things like backlogs, and that's also in the context of gender-based violence, where the numbers are just, as you know, shockingly high, and the system is certainly not coping.
All right, we'll leave it there. I appreciate you, of course, talking to me about this. Judges Matter Coordinator Alison Tilley, thank you so much for your time this morning.